You're tuned in to Career Currency with Kareem Perez, a podcast for people who are interested in unlocking their potential and increasing their professional value. Here's your host, Kareem Perez.
Okay, welcome everybody to another episode of the Career Currency Podcast, the podcast for people who are interested in unlocking their potential and increasing their professional value. We bring you the best marketers, influencers, and brand builders in the game who share career advice on how to attract opportunities, make more money, and thrive in the digital economy. I'm your host, Kareem Perez, founder of The Tech Effect, professor, mentor, and marketing and communications leader. And today's guest was doing business the moment she walked in the door. She's a top 1% real estate broker and investor who owns 3 properties in the GTA. A former professional volleyball player, she now channels her competitive drive into bridging the gap between financial literacy and real estate acquisition in marginalized communities. Passionate about empowering and inspiring those around her, using her expertise to help others achieve financial independence. Her ultimate goal is to create a lasting impact by making real estate and financial education accessible to all. Welcome, Jaden Kennedy.
Wow, thank you for the intro. Not much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I think this is our second interview now.
Yes.
I know you came through the Cookout,
Yes.
which is a major hit
Yes.
for the Tech Effect, and I'm a big fan of your work
Thank you.
and everything you do. And I want to just start by saying you came through closing a deal. Okay, so in Jaden Kennedy fashion,
Yes.
you came through the door, closing a deal, doing your thing. Welcome to the podcast.
Always be closing.
Always
Thank you
close
so
it
much.
as you close it. All right, so the first thing I want you to just get us started, right? Let's just talk about how it started versus how it's going.
Okay.
So just give us that run through. You're in the real estate game. So let's talk about how you first started off, how
Yeah.
you first broke in, and then how is it going now?
Okay, perfect. So I got my license during COVID. And a lot of people started getting their license during COVID. I think that there was a lot of people on social media showing how much money that they made from, real estate. And that was the driving factor for a lot of people. For me specifically, it was to empower people in marginalized communities, which we'll probably discuss later at some point. And I think that that has really helped me see the success that I have because I'm more value driven, whereas other people are more content driven. So I feel like there's a lot of content creators out there who are just putting, okay, I have to put, 10 videos a day or 10 videos a month. Whereas me, it's quality over quantity. So when I first started, I was doing about, I would say 2 or 3 videos a week. But then the issue is you get like content fatigue, right? There's only so many ideas you can come up with. There's only so much time you can take to record content. So I actually pivoted over to about 1 a week. Recently, it's been about more 1 a month, but that's because work has been busy. But I do want to become more consistent because I find that the information I put out is very valuable. And if I delay putting it out, someone is not going to benefit from it for that point, that period of time. So when I first started, I had about 1,000 followers. Like I said, posting a few times a week. And then fast forward to today, I'm at around 50 something thousand. And the majority of my business does come from social media.
Okay. So when you talk about some of the challenges when you first started, not even like social or value communicating your content and stuff like that, but just the game itself.
Yeah, so I would say that some of the challenges, number one is a lot of people put out this super polished content in studios. And I was worried. I'm like, okay, well, I don't really have much money. I want to put content out, but I don't have the cameras, the mics, all of that stuff. But I was just resourceful. I used my phone, a $10 tripod from Amazon, and called it a day. Another thing is I have a very unique personality, so I didn't know how people were sort of going to interpret me. And then the last thing is I had just gotten my license. And unfortunately, if you've gotten your license, you will know that the real estate course doesn't necessarily teach you what you need to know, and you don't really leave equipped to facilitate transactions. So I wanted to make content, but I didn't know what the heck to talk about because I didn't have clients. I didn't know the pain points for people. And you don't know what you don't know. So I would say that those are some of the struggles that I faced. In order to overcome the last one, I did do research. I would Google top questions that people ask realtors, etc., just to get a feel for the type of content that I wanted to put out.
Okay, go. And then so how's it going now?
Now is great. I have been blessed enough. I think that one thing people should really focus on is building their brands, because when they build their brand and they build credibility, that's when a lot of opportunities come. So I'm blessed to say that I've been on, a variety like Global News. I work really closely like City TV, the good stuff with Mary Berg. Might be a couple things on screen, sneak peek coming soon. So I think that my platform has just continued to grow. And that has provided so many opportunities, like even coming, on the podcast with you. So
I appreciate it. And yeah, again, big fan of your work and seeing your progression and development over time. But one of the things I really like about you and your personal brand is not just the real estate, but about wealth, financial education, and again, empowering those who might not know or might be disadvantaged with this information. So let's talk about a little bit of what they don't teach you in school, which is financial literacy is a big part of that, right?
Worthlessly, in my opinion.
Yeah, facts. So what's something you only learned about money after entering adulthood that completely changed the way you see the whole financial involvement?
Yeah, so I would say that when I was younger, even after college, my goal was, okay, let's say I want to make $100,000. But the thing is, there's not too much benefit in making $100,000 if you don't know how to use that money and make it work for you. A lot of people who I see come to me, they might make, 150,000, and I might have someone who has, makes 50,000, and the person who makes 50,000 has more assets and more savings than the person who makes the 150,000. So it's not about how much money you make, it's how much money you can, make and then build and have work for you. Also just taxes, right? I feel like a lot of people don't focus too much on taxes, but you have to find different ways to invest your money to, number one, reduce your taxable income, but then number two, have that money grow in a tax-free way. So I would say that my biggest thing is just the fact that it's not how much money you make, it's what you do with that money and how you make it work for you. And I feel like in schools, they don't really teach us what to do with those funds. And unless we have someone in our household who can provide that information, it's very hard to come across it. And of course, there's a lot of stuff on social media, but the issue is there's billions of videos on social media and maybe 1% of them, in my opinion, are actually accurate and beneficial.
Right.
And then also delayed gratification and like compounding. Because I think a lot of people, it's like, okay, Jayden, I'm going to invest money. They expect 10,000 to be flipped into 20,000 in 10 days, right? And it's like anything that sounds too good to be true typically is. Sure, if you were on the Bitcoin wave at the beginning or something along those lines, sometimes you do strike gold. But a lot of the time you have to wait and allow those investments to compound so that you can see the results over a long period of time. But what I always tell people is like, if you're looking for fast returns, that's going to be a higher risk investment. Can you stomach that risk? And if you have a big financial purchase you're going to be making in the future, be it a car or real estate, can you really stomach losing potentially half of your investments and not being able to have the funds in order to make those big purchases? So that's something that I also feel like a lot of us adults today are still learning.
Yeah. And then going back to the properties and investing in properties as well. I mean, talk a little bit about that, because also when you do invest in a property, it's not always sunshine, barbecues, and ball games. It's like things happen, tenants happen, the different things. So I know you said you had 3 properties.
Yes.
So have you encountered any?
I think Issues is my middle name, but at the end of the day, I'm very resourceful and I plan accordingly, right? So a few things, like when someone goes to buy a house, there's a few costs that sometimes people don't necessarily consider. So number one, I want to debunk a myth. You don't need 20% down to buy a house. You can put as low as 5% if you are a first-time buyer and it's not an investment property. If you are an existing homeowner, you are able to purchase a second property with less than 20% down also, but it has to be your primary residence. So that has to be a property that you are going to be actually moving into.
So that means you have to sell.
No, you can keep it as a rental. You can keep it as a rental.
You can't stay in both.
Yeah. Like the raw camera, you can't stay in both. Exactly. So what you can do is you can actually use your projected rental income from your existing property and add that to your income to get pre-approved for a higher amount. So that's sort of a little bit of a hack, is the projected rental income. But I think that when people are going to buy a house, there's a few costs that people need to consider. So of course you have your down payment, you have your deposit, which you have to give within 24 hours of your offer being accepted. That is going to be taken from your down payment. So say you're doing a down payment of 50K and you have to do a deposit of 30K. The outstanding amount you have is now 20. So it does get taken from that. And then also closing costs. So closing costs are typically 1.5 to 3% of the purchase price. You do need this in cash also, and you need this typically upon closing. That will cover land transfer taxes. If you live in Toronto, you're actually subject to the Toronto land transfer tax and Ontario, so you're double dinged on that front. But as a first-time buyer, you do get double the rebate. So you get about $8,000 off of that cost, but it's still a pretty penny. Then you have lawyer fees, adjustments, title insurance. So all of that, like I said, combines for between 1.5 to 3%. And if you're buying pre-construction, that's when the numbers can get even higher. You're looking to closer to 5% because developers have development fees. There's levies and all of those things. So I would say that the main things that people need to focus on is it's not just the down payment you have to save for. You also need to save for closing costs. Then once you close on the property taxes kill me. You probably experience that too, right? So it's like every year you're going to be paying, depending on where you're buying, between, let's say, $2,500 to $8,000-9,000 a year in property taxes. If you're at $6,000 a year, which is very normal in today's age, that's like $500 a month, right? So that's a cost you have to consider. Then we have, of course, our utilities. I purchased my most recent rental property. We replaced all the appliances. Right? So I had to buy all appliances, but it's very important. We are putting a lot of money out there, but there's also ways to save money. So my appliances, I didn't actually buy them brand new from Samsung, for example. There's places known as Scratch and Dent, and they will sell you appliances where the side of the fridge or the stove has a little dent, and it's going to be put in a cubby anyways. When you put it in your rice covered by cabinets, you can't see it, but you could get like a 30, 50, 60% discount off of these brand new appliances that have a little date. So I always go to Scratch and Dents, especially if it's going to be an investment property. Yeah, I'd say those are a few things.
Cool. And then let's go to the mindset. So what's the biggest mindset shift somebody needs to make before they start investing wealth into or building wealth through real estate?
Yeah, so I think you sort of touched on it like just now. It is literally switching the mindset from I cannot be a homeowner to being a homeowner is actually a possibility. I think that a lot of clients that I work with are the first people in their bloodline, right? Maybe in Canada who have purchased a property. And it's just, once again, leveraging my content and really going out of your way to find resources to help you understand how you can attain ownership. But I think once you have that mindset switch, that's when you can start to really make moves. But if you have the mindset of, I don't think I can buy a property, what you put out there is what's going to come back. And you're going to start, coming across a variety of obstacles, etc. So just having that mindset that I can become an owner, and then understanding that you don't know what you don't know, right? So it's connecting with people who have the knowledge and who can connect you with the respective professionals. Like, yes, I'm a realtor, but I also have mortgage professionals. I also know life insurance professionals. I have investment professionals. So whatever it is that you need, definitely surround yourself with those people so you can make an informed decision. Because with real estate, similar to a lot of other investments, one step in the wrong direction can be detrimental for your future. So you need to make sure that you're in the right hands in order to take that first step to building wealth through real estate.
Yeah, and can you talk a little bit about the timing of it? Because a lot of times it's you don't know what you don't know until you need to know it. But it's overnight, so late, or it's a serious time that you don't have enough leeway to make moves and explore options.
I would say like a perfect example of that would be someone who is going to buy a house and they're going to use their RSP money, right? Because you can leverage the funds in your RSPs. And the money has to be in your bank account for 90 days. Okay. So sometimes people come to me, they say, hey, I'm ready to buy a house. I'm like, okay, cool. When do you want to move in? They're like, 2 months. And I say, okay, well, where's your money? And they're like, oh, I just put in my RRSPs. And I'm like, okay, well, if you just put it in, it has to sit in your account for at least 90 days. You're not going to be moving in at the 2-month mark. So that's an example of if you had connected with me prior when you knew that you wanted to potentially purchase a property, I could have said, look, this is the game plan. You're using your RRSPs, put it in at this time, and then we can start the search at that time. So I would just say, once you have the idea that you want to become a homeowner, reach out to a mortgage professional or a realtor and they will guide you in the right direction. I have countless people who reach out to me and they have the savings, but their credit's not the best. And it's like they came to once they had the minimum down, but I say, look, I can get you into a property, but your credit is in a situation where your interest rate is going to be significantly higher than it needs to be. So I would rather wait. Here's the tips to fix your a lot of the time too, it's just like credit utilize. So your credit score, right? It's made out of a few factors. Number one is going to be your repayment history. That's going to be the biggest chunk. And it's like, how often am I borrowing money and how often am I repaying it on time? The other biggest chunk is going to be credit utilization, which is about 30% of your score. You want to keep, they look at the amount of credit you have access to. You want to keep your balances at 30% or less. So if you have a credit card with $100 balance, you want the balance, or you know what I mean, limit. You want the balance to be $30 or less to max that out. A lot of people that I meet, they have really high numbers on that front. And it's like, okay, let's take some of our down payment funds, let's pay off this credit card, and then let's proceed from there. So I would say it's never too late to connect with a realtor. Like I had someone who reached out to me about 4 years ago and they just purchased a property 2 weeks ago. I said 4 years, right?
You did.
Okay. Okay. 4 years ago, they purchased a property 2 weeks ago. So it's like we help them come up with a game plan. I have countless people, entrepreneurs, they don't file their taxes. And I'm like, look, you can't buy a house if you're not filing your taxes, because the thing is there's a hierarchy in life, right? And the government is at the top of the hierarchy. If you owe the government money and you owe the bank money, the government is the only entity that overrides the bank. So the bank wants to make sure that all of your balances due to the government are taken care of so that if something hits the fan, the money goes to them and not the government. So on the tax spread too, we've come across a couple clients recently who have been literally saving money either under their beds in a shoebox, or they're giving the money to their friends to hold on to the money so that they don't have to use it. Now, the issue is the down payment funds have to be traceable. We want to have the funds in our account for at least 90 days. If you have a bunch of cash, you need to put those in the money in your bank account.
A lot of keys, a lot of heat.
Yeah.
You're like rapid fire, but let's talk about the school, back to school.
Okay,
Right?
yes.
As the education piece. And I know you do some teaching and you work with youth.
Okay.
If you could design a high school course, real life 101, what would be the first couple of topics you would teach? So again, a lot of us as adults, we don't know this information, but when you're teaching the youth, how do you get them interested and involved into like that financial mindset? Because a lot of times for them too, it's not imminent.
Yeah.
They don't see it. So they're like, oh, I don't really need to know this.
Yeah.
But what are some of the ways you get youth and people interested in financial wealth?
Okay, so I work with a nonprofit and we work with youth. So I'm sort of going to walk you through the blueprint that we use. I would say the youth are between the ages of 8 to 18. Okay, so wide range. You got to make sure that you accommodate all of the ages. So we start with mindset and understanding what money is and how money works. That's sort of the first thing. So it's understanding, maybe people in our family aren't the best with finances, but we can be that person who becomes good with finances. Then how money works, right? For example, what happens when we put money in the bank? Right? When we put our money in the bank then lends out our money to other people, charges them, let's say 20%, and we only get 0.00001%, right? So I teach them about the importance of why we should invest and what happens to our money when it's in certain areas, just to make sure that we have a good understanding of like how the economy works. We talk about inflation, just sort of the ins and outs of finances. Then we get into investing. Specifically investing in RRSPs, what that is. I did a course the other day and even the facilitators weren't familiar with RRSP matching, right? Where your employer will actually match up to a certain percentage of the money that you put in your RRSPs, and you can then leverage that money to purchase a property. So we would talk about RRSPs, TFSA, and different ways to invest. For example, gold. Right? So there's a bunch of different avenues that you can take. And then we also talk about taxes, of course. And a way that I do this is I'll pull up a calculator and I'll say, okay, guys, how much money do we want to make? $1 million. Okay, amazing. Let's put $1 million into this tax calculator. How much money do you think the tax man is going to take from you? Oh, 20,000, 30,000. $400,000. Oh my gosh, $400,000. Yeah, so let's look at the average person's income in Toronto. We're looking at about $70,000. Let's now go and look at what your cost of living is going to be. If you're going to live on your own, it's going to be $2,000 a month. That means now you only have $1,500 a month left over. Then we have your transportation. Are you driving or are you getting a Presto card? Then we have your food. Oh, you need to get an iPhone? How much does the most expensive iPhone cost in 2025 from Apple? $2,500? They don't know this because their parents are spending the money, not them. So it's just giving them real world numbers, showing them the price of McDonald's, how it's gone up from 2014 to 2024 to show them that, yes, you might have $1 in your bank account, but if you don't do anything with that dollar, the price of everything's going to go up and you're not going to have enough money to do certain things. So I would start with mindset, then the different types of investments. And then because I'm biased, we talk about real estate, right? Because 9 out of 10 millionaires build and maintain their wealth through real estate. So just walking through the home buying process, understanding, okay, a roof might need to be replaced between 20 to 25 years. It could run you between, let's say, $10,000 to $20,000 depending on the roof. So I'm taking them through real life expenses in addition to like the cost of Jordans and all of these things. And also just the importance of not trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? Because a lot of these kids, they are active on social media. They are seeing a lot of these fancy things, kids with the cool shoes or rappers with these cool cars. But the reality is a lot of the people who are posting this stuff on socials, they don't actually have the money to back it, right? They're flexing these watches, but then they don't have a house, a stable roof over their head, right? So just really emphasizing become financially literate and start at the basics and then sort of branch out. Yes, that's what I do.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, switching it up a little bit.
Okay.
Sports to sales to social impact.
Yes.
So again, what habits or mindsets from your athletic days have transferred over into your business?
Oh my gosh, everything. And I was just talking to someone the other day about the fact that I can easily identify in the workforce if someone used to be an athlete. I feel like athletes are just built different. They have different mindsets and they outwork anyone. And they're okay with doing the dirty stuff behind the scenes because they understand that the results will come at some point. So I would say my competitive nature, number one, I am a big competitor. I always want my clients to win. Number two, my ability to communicate, right? You have to be able to come up with solutions and also communicate those solutions. Number three, dealing with a variety of personalities, right? We're not going to be the biggest fan of everyone that we come across, but we have to make sure that we're able to cooperate with them to sort of come to a consensus on whatever it is that we're doing. I would say that those are the main things. And then also just having a schedule. Like I'm very disciplined. I have a calendar. Ever since I was young, I always had a set schedule. This. So now that I'm my own boss, I think where some entrepreneurs sort of fall off is they think, oh, entrepreneurship's so sexy. I can go on a trip when I want, do this and that. But it's like, you still need to get shit done at the end of the day, right? So coming up with a schedule helps me stay accountable and organized to ensure that I'm able to sort of achieve whatever goals it is that I have. Yeah. What about you? What do you feel like you've taken from sports?
A lot of the same things: teamwork, development, working with other people. Like you said, it's being able to accept feedback and apply changes to improve. And especially even if you're good, you can always be 1% better, right? So that's one thing. And then the other thing is also environment as well. So you might be the best at this level that you're at now, but when you get into that next level, whether it's going from like, house league to rep or rep to prep or like college to university, whatever that next step is, it's like humbling yourself where I was the best at one point, but now I have to learn and develop on that next level, right? So kind of like that lifelong learning kind of concept where it's like, now I'm in a situation where I'm not the best, but I'm not going to necessarily let my ego get to me. I know these are the work that I have to do. Also, going back to being receptive to that feedback is like, whoever's coaching you or developing you, they're going to be hard on you, not because you're not good, but they want you to be great.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So again, not having that ego or that talent, sitting on your talent and saying, okay, I'm good at what I do, but understanding like that hard work and that dedication, that grit is really what's going to separate me from the other people and the competitors. But also, I think it's about the moment too, right? Because it's about peaking at the moment where you need to perform.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's part of it
Yeah.
as well.
So I guess, performing under pressure.
Performing under
right?
pressure.
That we've experienced that, shot clock down to 3, whatever, lots serve. So I told DC we were coming from on that.
All right. Dope. So yeah, again, going back to the pivot part, right? Because sometimes as athletes or whatever, as people, we identify with what we do.
Yes.
Right. So when we're an athlete, we grow up, we're like, this is what I do. And it's hard to pivot. It's hard to start over, transition into something new. Right. So you did that. What would you say to someone who's kind of sitting there? They're like, oh, I used to do this and I want to change, but I'm stuck in my old kind of comfortable mindset. Or
I would say don't stay caught in the past. I know way too many people right now who are stuck in the past. It's like the past is the past. The longer you stay in that, the longer you're going to prolong your success once you accept your new identity. So just let that go. Start building your own brands. Like I was Jaden the volleyball player for so long, but now I'm Jaden the realtor. That's how people know me. I go outside and say, oh, you're the realtor. So it takes time, but you have to at some point let go of that old life and find something that you enjoy doing that still gives you a taste of that, right? So with me, real estate, I can still, when I'm negotiating, it feels the same as when I'm playing a volleyball game. Like my adrenaline is up, and then once the deal's done, we get a win. So I still, oh my gosh. So I still get that same experience, but now it's in a different realm. But you have to let go of your past self. Don't get me wrong. You can leverage that to find like common ground with people, potentially clients and colleagues, etc. But you got to nothing, in my opinion, is more annoying than when someone will not let go of their past self. I know annoying is just a mean word, but you just have to focus on today and bettering yourself and investing in yourself today to get you to where you want to be. Because we're not going to be athletes forever. When I was younger, I wanted to be in the WNBA. And then I realized that I don't even like basketball like that, so it's not going to happen, right? So it's just pivoting and setting a new goal for yourself that can keep an old part of you, but also just start the next chapter. Because our bodies don't work the same way they used to, especially as you age, right?
okay, and you talked about investing in yourself. So can you talk about, as an entrepreneur, how you invest in yourself and how that investment has materialized into some of the opportunities that you've seen?
Yeah, so like you said, it's alluded to lifelong learning, right? I am always investing in courses, seminars, etc. in order to elevate my knowledge. Because here's the thing, sure, Jaden's come in, she's young, she's top whatever percent realtor. But the thing is, if I take my foot off the gas, there's a new Jaden coming in who's gonna pass me, right? So you cannot get complacent. You have to continuously learn. And I think in real estate, legislation is always changing. So if you do not stay on top of what's happening with the government, politics, etc., that will be detrimental to you, because the last thing that you want is for a client to come to you and have more knowledge on the economic climate than you do, right? So I would say that sometimes pay to be in rooms, because proximity matters, right? So if you really look up to someone and you have to pay a pretty penny in order to get into the room, you never know the type of nuggets you're going to get from that are going to change your life. So I do pay for proximity a lot. I also ask people I know, like, who do you know that I should know? Because my goal is to continue to surround myself with people who have really strong mindsets and will help me sort of get to the next level for sure.
Deep. Lots of good info. Side note, I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Sports wise.
Yes.
What do you still play?
I play pickleball right now. And I'm pretty good at it. So I will say, yeah, it's funny because I think pickleball is starting to grow a lot. And I think that there's a misconception that it's an older person sport, and that's just not the case. So if anyone wants to do pickleball runs who's listening to this and they want to get that work, they could reach out to me. I need to see the highlight tape first, though.
For real. Okay, so have you ever walked into a room when you felt underestimated?
Every day. I feel like all the time, especially based off my age and just like my personality. I'm quite bubbly. I don't think that people think that I'm capable of the things that I actually do. When I first got my license, like I would call agents to be like, hey, top agents, can I pick your brain? And I would say like 7 out of 10 said no. The 3 out of 10 I'm grateful for today that they were willing to share the information that they had with me. But I would just say that just being young in the industry, and even I've been in the industry for about 4.5 years. Some agents, they've been in the game for 20 years and they're just like, you're this young millennial realtor, social media person. And they just don't take me seriously, right? I had a conversation with an agent the other day. I feel like a lot of younger agents know who I am just because of the brand that I'm building, but older agents who don't have social media, they have no idea what it is that I'm doing. So he was just ranting to me. He's like, yeah, I'm getting all these ridiculous offers. I bet you it's all these realtors who are on TikTok who don't know anything. They're just putting information out there. They're not educated. And I told him, I'm like, respectfully, I'm on TikTok. He's like, oh, really? He's like, do you get business from TikTok? I was like, yeah, I do. And so he was like, oh, so I think it's also like there's a little bit of a shift right now. And I think people are becoming more accepting of like the younger agents. But I would say that that's the case. And honestly, it's dominated by white men, right? So the way that I get into rooms is I do deals. And then eventually they start to see, oh, Jaden's on this deal, Jaden's on this deal, Jaden's on this deal. And that's when I start to sort of gain the respect of a lot of agents. So I would say last year, when I was one of the top 20 agents in Canada with my brokerage, that's when a switch sort of flicked for a lot of agents and started to give me a bit more respect. And I find that when I go into brokerages and I do presentations on how to carry yourself, how to leverage social media for clients, etc., that's when I start to get credibility. But I would say that just based off of the way I look, I a lot of people don't take me seriously, if I'm being honest, to this day. Yeah. I walked into a room the other day with like a lot of established agents and none of them knew who I was. And then after the meeting, I guess they went on socials, whatever. And then a bunch of them messaged like, wow, you're doing so well. Da, 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 da. But like at the meeting, they were not really giving me too much time. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting. But on that same token, like, I'm not big on this whole social media clout thing. And I feel like there's a lot of agents who are buying Instagram followers or just like people in general. But the issue is if you're trying to build a business, Instagram knows what's legit and what's not. And if you are doing the whole bots, fake likes, comments, etc., they're not gonna reward you for that at all.
Yeah, and the people know too. They can kind of tell by your engagement and just when they meet you and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Traditionally, real estate has been known as a referral business.
Yes.
Is that the case for you? Would you say it's because a lot of times, like when I was working in the agency and stuff, we work with real estate agents. They're like, again, I don't need marketing. I get 80%, 90% of my business from referrals. And I'm curious to know, because I know you do social, you got that presence.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you do great work too. So I'm sure you get referrals. So
Yeah.
What does that look like?
I would say, so this year I've actually gotten a lot of referrals. The thing is, a lot of the clients I work with, they are younger. So a lot of their peers aren't even in the position to purchase a house yet. But once the peers are ready to purchase, that's when my name is sort of thrown out there. So I would say right now, a lot of my business, I would say for the past couple of years, like 90% has been social media. I would say about 70% is social media now and 30% is referrals. Of course, I love referrals because social media enables you to attract people who are similar to you. And once you've already done a deal, if I've done a deal with you and you refer me to your best friend, odds are your best friend's going to be similar to you and they're going to, give me my credit where it's due because they know that you gave your stamp of approval. So referrals are definitely always the goal. But I think that my social media platform is also growing at a rate where it's going to be hard for the referrals to catch up to the socials, but like I'm down for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to this presence that you have,
Yes.
right? I know you mentioned sports, but when you first started making content, were you kind of like judgmental of yourself? Were you nervous or
Yes.
how did you kind of like overcome that or build that kind of that muscle
Yes.
to become confident?
So I guess sort of going back to sports, like everything goes back to sports, but it's like I was used to talking on camera, right? And
your media training, something like that?
no media training, but just we would get asked questions. So for me, I was comfortable in front of cameras. And I was actually doing some reflecting the other day. And my mom, when I was younger, I was probably about 10. I've had a few surgeries and stuff that have happened to my body. I actually did a motivational speech for women at that age, talking about what I overcome. And so it's just things like that in my past, I think have all sort of brought me to where I am today. When I first started on video, though, I was a little nervous, so nervous because number one, I was like, I don't know if like the content I'm putting out is actually 100% accurate. Like Google and the sources are saying it's accurate. So what I would do is instead of speaking, oh my gosh, I had I did like videos where I was dancing and I would be like, minimum down, 20%. 5%. I'm literally pointing at the words because I didn't want to talk. And then that was getting a little bit of traction. So then I was like, you know what? Let's do the carousels, which are becoming more popular again. Right. So it'd be like tips for first-time home buyers. Swipe. Da 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 da. Swipe. Da 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 da. And then I'm like, okay, I'm getting a bit more traction. And then that's when I started to do a 1-2 video just to see how it would go. And then I just sort of it took off from there. But it's crazy because I look back at my videos when I first started.
And we're still on your page?
Absolutely not. Is anyone ever going to see those? No, ever. But it's like you just have to start. That's the thing. I knew that it wasn't going to be perfect, but I knew that similar to letting go of my past identity, the longer that I prolonged that, the more I was going to prolong my success in this new chapter. So I did it even though I knew it wasn't going to be perfect. And as time has gone by, I'm sure 5 years down the line, I'll look at my existing videos and be like, what was I thinking? Why did Kareem even want me on his podcast? You know, but like as of right now, I'm happy with everything. Yeah, but I was super cringe.
Okay, you talked about competition earlier, very competitive.
Yes.
And I know in working with you and having you at our events,
yeah,
you kind of get that next generation of realtor coming and say, hey, I saw Jayden on here. I'm kind of like, not necessarily compete directly, but I'm trying to do what she does.
Yes.
In those scenarios, are you helping them, or do they come up to you? They ask you like, how did you do your thing? How did you build your business?
All the time. And I literally go to brokerages and teach agents how to do exactly what it is that I do. The thing is, I can give you the recipe. We gotta have the sauce, you know, and I have the Jaded sauce. You might have the cream sauce. They're different, right? The seasoning is just a little different. So yeah, I'm totally happy to share any information that I have. I'm an open book. And I mean, you could sort of see on social media what it is that I do. Now, there's two things that really irritate me. It's me taking the time to educate you on how to do it. And then you literally going on my Instagram and regurgitating my content word for word, but just in your voice, right? So don't take my content word for word. And this other thing that's been supposedly going around is agents are copying my content word for word. And I'm calling them out because the thing is, now that I have a decent following and it's real estate, which is very niche, my followers will tag me in videos that are the exact same as mine. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot out there that I still haven't come across, but whatever. And I'll reach out to these agents and they'll be like, oh my gosh, this is insane. I've never seen your Instagram profile before. And
that is like a word
for word. Apparently, this has happened a few times now. There are VAs, like you can go on, what's that freelancer website? Do you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the freelancer websites. And they'll say, if you're a realtor, I will make you Instagram content based off your geographical location. So what these people are doing is they're selling my content scripts to agents. And agents think that the content is specifically for them, but it's actually my content verbatim. So that's something that's been 3 agents have told me that that's how their situation went. I feel like it's interesting that 3 of them have said that. So yeah, that's why it goes back to write your own content, be authentic, and you won't run into this issue. And also, if you're copying someone's content word for word down to mortgage numbers, how did you come up with those numbers, right? You copied. Don't copy, be original.
Appreciate that. That's deep. Okay, so what advice would you give to someone who's kind of in that boat? They're scared to kind of promote their business, get on camera.
Yeah.
They feel like they don't know enough of their industry, so they don't want to like share facts and figures like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. How would you encourage them?
So once again, I am not telling anyone to do word for word, but you also don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of credible realtors out there who do put out quality educational content. Go on my page, get inspiration. Inspiration is the key word, right? Okay, you don't need 20% down to buy a house. Luckily, there's something that exists today that wasn't very popular when I first started. That is ChatGPT. ChatGPT can get you some information. You don't have to give specific numbers, but you could say issues first-time home buyers have, and it'll literally list out a variety of issues, right? So interest rates today, it'll list out interest rates. So if you're worried about it not being accurate, reach out to an agent who's been in the industry for a bit. Just be like, hey, can you please take the time to look at this? If you are an agent, there is someone called a broker of record. So it's like almost like an HR, like a compliance officer, but strictly for paperwork and to make sure that you don't get reported. Now you could reach out to them and say, hey, I'm looking at putting content out on social media. Can you look over this to ensure it's accurate? Because the thing is, say you're the compliance officer and I'm putting stuff out that's not accurate and I get reported, it's coming back to you.
Yeah.
So it's in your best interest to look at the content for me and approve it and then go from there. And broker of records are typically licensed agents also. So I would say if you're worried about the accuracy, I wasn't aware that I could do that when I first started. I would definitely do that. In terms of putting out content, some people are confident on camera, others aren't. So definitely start with the carousels. Just get a feel. Let your followers know that this is the type of content that they should start to expect from you. And then what I do is I actually write out my content word for word and I record it in a variety of clips. So I don't just do one long video. I do clips because none of us are perfect. We're probably going to mess up. We're going to have our dog run in the backyard or whatever. So by doing short clips, it enables me to say, oh, I don't like that. Let me just take that out and re-record that one section. On top of that, if you're just starting, you can voice record yourself just to hear your voice. I know most of us don't like hearing our voice. You can understand the cadence. Am I talking too fast? Am I talking too slow? And then what I tell some agents to do is just talk to yourself in the mirror, right? Look at yourself. How are you moving your arms? Are you a little moving around too much? And then just go from there. Then sometimes what I recommend too is record yourself, but don't have audio. So just watch your body now that you're recording yourself to see, do I look natural? Am I talking like this, like this? And once you practice in the mirror enough, that's when you can start to do, the mini videos. My videos are maximum 90 seconds because I want to be able to boost it. And after 90 seconds, it's a little harder to boost. But you could just start with like a 20-second video, right? And get used to just getting the reps in. And then as you get comfortable, the videos will come a little more naturally.
Good advice. Good advice. Okay. So one thing I wanted to ask you was we talked about kind of overcoming challenges, getting on camera and all these different moments. Talk about self-development. Do you have some kind of routine? Is it meditation? Is it prayer? Self-reflection?
Yes. So I do journal nightly. That's something. I feel like when I face adversity and I journal, for some reason, it just leaves my body. But the issue is when you're stressed, not only is it emotional, but it also impacts you physically, right? So what I'll do sometimes too is I will work out. So every morning I try my best to work out because I know if I work out in the morning and some craziness comes my way, I'll be able to deal with it a lot better. So I would say that journaling helps. Working out helps. I am in the process of strengthening my relationship with God. So praying and really just understanding that everything happens for a reason and He has sort of a bigger plan, I would say are the main things that sort of help me stay grounded. I do try to go to the spa at least once a month, really to just unplug. Do I really unplug there? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then just hanging out with your loved ones too, right? Because there's no point in being go,
Right.
making money, doing all of this stuff if you don't have the time to hang out with those that you love. So for me specifically, I actually set out, if it's not in my calendar, it's not happening. And I will set out time okay, I'm hanging out with my friends this Friday. I'm going out to dinner with my family on this Monday, just to make sure that I have the opportunity to hang out with them. Because at the end of the day, they're my backbone. And there's no point in putting all this energy into my clients and then my family is out here hanging and is not getting any energy from me, right? So I would say those. And I like to cook too. So sometimes I'll just have a glass of wine and I'll cook pasta or something like that also. What about you?
Nice.
What do you do to...
Similar workout. Definitely morning workouts. I love to run. Oh, I am doing my first marathon this year. Yeah, so October 17th,
Okay.
78 days away. I've done a half marathon, 10K. I've done all those races before, but that's the last race I have not done.
Wow.
So yeah, I love running to just, again, get outside, get that sun, get the sunrise. At one point, I was running at sunrise and sundown, and I started to study like the different phases of like when the sun starts coming up. He says,
Stop this.
the
That's
tight. I deep
insane.
into it. So there's that, and then yeah, working out, gym as well, and then just like a lot of self reflection, so like meditation and prayer. But the hardest challenge is to sit still and just again reflect and not be so go. And especially for me, it's detaching from digital because I work in the marketing space and the online space. So one of the biggest challenges was just not going online because you do it all day for work. And then obviously you have your personal socials or your business socials or whatever. It's like just to do something that's not
Yeah.
in a screen, you
Yeah.
know? So
Which
just
is
like you
hard.
said, going for walks, just nature kind of style, but trying to do that with friends, family, and bring community together. So
Yeah.
and then platforms like this, conversations with, you know, people, leaders, not even necessarily for self-development, but just for expression.
Yeah.
So like when we talked about sports, another passion of mine is music, poetry. So when I was younger, I used to write a lot of poetry. I used to do a lot of music.
Okay. Saying you have a few bars.
Got a
Okay.
couple bars, but now I channel it into public speaking. So now when I'm on stage, a lot of people say, "Oh, how are you so comfortable on stage talking to people or whatever?" It's like, well, because I used to like to perform, then I used to do that, right?
Okay.
So yeah, so those are a couple of things. I wanted to kind of get into a little bit of the work that you do and the value that it brings to others, right?
Okay.
Because buying a house is a big thing, right? It's an emotional roller coaster from looking to finding or whatever, your family or, you know, you're making that next step. It's probably what they say, the largest purchase you're going to make in your career.
Yeah.
Do you have some stories, maybe
Yeah.
some stories that are close to you where you're like, wow, I really pulled this off
Yeah.
as people?
There's a lot of stories, but like for example, I have a single female client who had reached out to me a couple years ago and said, "Look, like one day I want you to be my realtor. Where do I sort of sit right now?" And so she gave me her income, her savings, and I was like, "Look, this is what you're gonna need to do in order to you're gonna have to have this much savings, this much income." She connected with a financial advisor, ended up saving like between 50 to 100K in like 2 years, right? Doubled her income because what I learned from her is to job hop, right? You have an employer. I don't know if that like, right? But she's like, yeah, you are working with one employer and then you go to another in a similar position, but you increase your pay or you tell your existing employer like, look, I'm about to jump, and then maybe they'll increase your income. So she saw tremendous results, but I was able to help her get her first property, which is just amazing because that's a goal that she's had and she doesn't have any kids yet, but her goal was to have a property so that now that she's out, you know, dating people, she'll have sort of somewhere that the kids could go to. So there's something like that selfishly, like I'm saying selfishly, but I think that my story is even pretty cool. Like being able to, when I grew up, like the situation wasn't necessarily the best and ownership, that's something that I never really thought of. And then getting into real estate and being able to purchase the properties and lead by example has been great too. I had another client who purchased around that single female, like a couple of streets down. And they had reached out to me a few years ago also and said, hey, we have a few things we need to fix. What do you recommend that we do? Connect them with the respective people and then help them get into ownership. I had another couple about 2 months ago. They had reached out to me probably 3 months ago and said, hey, we saw your video that we don't need 20% down to buy. Here's our situation. Do you think that we'd be eligible? And I looked at their situation. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys can buy right now. And literally 2 weeks later, they purchased their property. They found out they're pregnant and they messaged me like 2, 3 days ago. And they're like, thank you so much. Like, we feel like God's timing was everything. He put us in your hands for the right reasons. Now we're going to have our baby. And like just situations like that. I feel like based off of the demographic I serve, I'm sort of in that spot where people have just had babies or they're going to have babies. So it's really cool to be such a pivotal part of, you know, such a big moment in their lives because it's so crazy the amount of clients who I found out they're pregnant before their parents have. And sort of just like, look, like, hey, Jaden, we're going to have a baby. We need to buy a house. And then we're going to tell everyone everything. So I just think that it's situations like that, especially where people either say that real estate is their goal in a few years, or people who didn't realize that ownership was attainable, and then I show them the different things they can do, and then they're able to purchase. It's really just getting people into homes that may not have otherwise if they didn't come across the content that I put out.
Awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, and I wanted to get out of you. But that's like you said, it's such a pivotal part of people's lives, and it's now that you mentioned the baby part, it's almost like you're trying to put this puzzle together, right? Where it's like you're having the kid, you're getting the job, and then you're getting the house, and it's like, okay, now I got.
It's so much, right? Yep. Or it's like we originally meet, these are the requirements, then we reconnect a year later, the baby's on the way, the requirements have changed. So 100%. And it's such an honor that people trust me to support them. And once again, that's from the credibility that I built through my brand via social media.
Dope. Okay. Well, a lot of keys, Jaden. I feel like we could talk forever, but
right.
I need a few hot takes from you. Favorite food?
Pasta. I like pasta.
Just what?
Any type of pasta. Oh, okay.
Alfredo?
Yeah, a good Alfredo or a good rosé. Definitely. I did, long story short, I was a vegetarian for like 7 years. Still vegetarian, but I started eating bacon again. Okay? Still vegetarian. Bacon is a favorite food.
Actually?
Bacon is definitely a favorite food of mine. No, that bologna. No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask you if you've been to Italy because you love pasta.
No, but I'm gonna go to Italy. The plan is either this year or next year, and I heard that the pasta doesn't make you bloat, apparently.
No, much better. And then, so favorite place to travel then?
Favorite place to travel? Where's my favorite place that I've traveled? I would say for relaxation purposes, Hawaii. I just feel like there's not like much nightlife or anything. You're just on the beach, right? You have your acai bowls, your fresh pineapple. Hawaii.
You surf?
Is good. No. I try, but I'm not good. Yeah.
The point.
Yeah.
Favorite app? Work or personal?
I guess I would say Instagram because that's where, I do a lot of my work. Outside of Instagram, I guess TikTok. I like binge watching TikToks. Like, I don't know what type of drugs is in their algorithm, but like I'm watching very interesting puppy videos, kids crying, farts in elevators. Like TikTok has me on chokeholds.
So, recommended book?
Oh, I would say, oh my gosh, Robert Kiyosaki. Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's a book that got me into real estate for sure. Yeah. And How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I think that's
yes. Familiar with those. Really good.
You have a recommendation?
Atomic Habits is a good one.
Okay. Yes, James Clear, right? Yeah. Look at me remembering all these authors.
That's a real good one. And then, there's a bunch. Grit is also another good one.
I haven't read that one.
Yeah, that kind of talks about the talent versus hard work.
Okay.
So if you have talented or your hard work, but what's really good about that too is it talks about coaching and developing people and how you make things too easy, they're not challenged, but if you make things too hard, they're discouraged. So there's like a growth where you push people hard enough, but you still don't make it too hard where they'll stop.
I'm going to check that out because I'm at the point where I am starting to expand my business. So grit.
Business-wise, Systemology is a good one. That's that's about creating systems. For you. Easy books. There's the E-Myth.
Okay.
Which talks about the entrepreneurial myth. Really, really interesting book because it talks about, for example, if I'm a really good cook and I start a bakery, for example, I like the bakery part, but I actually don't like the running of the business part.
Yes.
So it talks about how to create a structure so that you can maintain your passion and your love, but you don't get overwhelmed by running the business, right? Because you're like, I just like baking.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with the accounting, this
is good.
Whatever.
Okay.
So there's that book, E-Myth.
Yeah.
And the second book to that is Systemology, which teaches you how to build a system for your business. So they basically kind of go hand in hand.
I'm gonna have to check.
Those are big ones.
Those all sound good.
Those are big ones. Word of advice. So this is the last question, but word of advice to your younger self, or again, the youth, somebody coming up.
I would say always be yourself and don't compromise your values. That's what I'd say. I feel like especially as we want to progress very quickly in whatever it is that we want to do, there are going to be opportunities where you could potentially speed up your success, but that might require compromising some of your values. So just stay true to who you are and just trust God's timing.
Okay, there you have it, y'all. Jayden Kennedy, she came through. I mean, rapid fire keys, knowledge, information, as always. So make sure you check her out. Tap in. Thank you for joining us, the Career Currency Podcast. This is my second interview with Jayden, and I'll put it on the table. I know we're going to do something again.
Yes.
Really big fan of your work and love your energy.
You too.
Keep inspiring the youth. Keep building that wealth. And I look forward to seeing you more on TV and more social media, different stages. But that's it, y'all. Career Currency Podcast. Jayden Kennedy, Kareem Perez, tapping out. See you next time.
You're tuned in to Career Currency with Kareem Perez, a podcast for people who are interested in unlocking their potential and increasing their professional value. Here's your host, Kareem Perez.